The silent gift. Introduction. People often say that time takes away everything. Health, youth, and even the people we used to love. But there is one thing that time cannot take away. The way a person is remembered. Not by monuments, nor by great things, but by small things. A cup of tea leaves a fragrance. A garden leaves memories. An embrace leaves warmth. I am no longer young, and my heart is no longer strong. But every morning I still make a cup of tea, still walk out into the garden, still write in the yellow notebook. Because I know when the last days come, the only thing left is the gift we once gave the world. A silent gift, but never lost. Clapperboard Part 1. The Last Days of the Garden. Inside the house, afternoon. The afternoon light slanted through the window, illuminating a cup of tea that was steaming lightly. The old wooden kitchen was neat, but not crowded. Close up, Eleanor, about 80 years old. Her silver hair was neatly tied up. Her thin hands were carefully putting a few sprigs of dried mint into a porcelain pot. She did not use boiling water from the tap, but boiled the kettle on a small wood stove. She sat down, poured the tea, not in a hurry to drink. Just silently watched the smoke rise, slowly, like a ritual. There are things that you only begin to appreciate when you don't have much time left. A quiet cup of tea. An afternoon without anyone calling. A heart that beats slower every day. In the garden sunset, Eleanor opened the back door and walked out into the back garden. The sunset sparkled on the grass. Weeds grew wild around the old herb beds. Mint, chamomile, lavender, once neatly trimmed. Now only a few faded wooden nameplates remained. She bent down and gently plucked a weed. Her hand was shaking, but still gentle. Her hand, shaking but determined. She muttered, "Last year, there were nasturtiums here. This year, there's only wind." She looked out into the distance. Grass, a few trees with fallen leaves. The wind blew through the wind chimes hanging on the porch. Inside, old wooden writing desk. Eleanor sat at a table, opened an old leather-bound notebook. Inside was a tangle of handwriting. Tea recipes, folk remedies, treatment notes from the 70s. Flicking through a page. Peppermint tea for insomnia after divorce. Ginger tea for Mr. Jacob after intestinal surgery. Cactus for the little girl who lost her mother in 2002. She paused longer on a blank page. She held the pen but didn't write. Just put it down quietly. The wind blew softly. The clock ticked slowly. The landline rang. She picked it up. It was a doctor. The voice on the phone, off screen. "Eleanor, I've seen the test results. You need to start treatment this month." Eleanor was silent for a moment. Then softly, "I will think about it." "Thank you, doctor. I still have some work to do here." Hang up. Not sad. Just calm. Night. Warm yellow light in the house. She sat by the window again, drinking tea, looking into the distance. The scene was so quiet that only the sound of breathing and the wind remained. End of Part 1. I have lived long enough to know healing is not just about prolonging life. Sometimes it is about leaving something beautiful behind after you are gone. End of Part 1. She put down her teacup, turned to look at the small wooden box on the high shelf, locked. She had not opened it, just looked. Part 2. The child in the notebook. Morning in the garden, meeting Ethan. The sound of birds chirping, the gentle morning sun shining on the garden. Eleanor was sitting cutting mint leaves. The sound of slippers clicking. A boy about 10 years old, messy hair, wearing a large coat, walked to the fence. Ethan, almost whispering, "Sorry to bother you. My mother said she needed some mint." Eleanor looked up, slowly, gazing at the boy for a long time. "Eleanor, is your mother sick?" Ethan, "No, she couldn't sleep. She just sat in the room, not saying anything." Eleanor sighed softly. Silence. Then stood up, went into the house. Ethan stood there waiting hesitantly. A moment later, Eleanor came out, carrying a small bunch of fresh mint. Eleanor, slowly, use hot water, not too boiling. Let it sit for 3 minutes. Then drink. The boy nods, timidly taking it. As he turns away, Eleanor calls softly, "What's your name?" Ethan turns back, smiling slightly. "Ethan, ma'am." The next day, Ethan returns. Low angle. Ethan slowly emerges from the fence, holding a small basket. "Ethan, Mommy's asleep." Mom said, "Thank you, and here's the cake she made." Eleanor takes the cake. She doesn't smile, but her eyes soften. She doesn't say anything, just nods. A moment of silence. A light breeze. Ethan sits down on the porch. Eleanor is about to enter the house, then stops. Watches the boy sitting silently, his eyes on the tall grass. "Eleanor, do you know what used to be there?" Ethan shakes his head. Eleanor sat down beside him, pointing out the rows of soil. Chamomile for the stomach, lavender for the bereaved, mint for a little more peace of mind. Ethan watched. He became curious, discovering the notebook. Inside the house, golden afternoon light. Eleanor was cutting dried herbs. Ethan helped hang them on the crossbar. While looking for the rope, Ethan opened a drawer, accidentally finding an old leather-bound notebook. "Ethan, Grandma, what is this?" Eleanor reflexively tried to snatch it back, but stopped, silently sat down, opened the notebook. Eleanor, softly, "It's where I remember everyone who was sick and everyone who got well." Ethan, flipping a few pages. "You wrote it all down?" Eleanor, not to show off, but to remember. The boy carefully turns to another page. A drawing of dried mint leaves, handwritten underneath. Eddie, 1984. Broken bones, insomnia, back to gardening after 6 weeks. Ethan laughs, like a superhero. Eleanor says nothing, but for the first time, she smiles. Gardening together. The connection begins. A quick montage sequence. Ethan weeds. Eleanor shows how to distinguish healthy plants from wild ones. The two of them mix soil, replant an old lavender bush. Ethan makes a small wooden board with the names of plants, in cute, childish handwriting. Eleanor teaches him to distinguish smells by hand. Smell with your skin, not just your nose. Interlude. Don't pull the plant. Ask it with your hand. This leaf is marjoram, not a weed. Every plant remembers who touched it. Night. Writing desk, notebook update. Eleanor opened the notebook. The page was blank. She wrote a new line. "Ethan, 2025. Garden rebirth." Eleanor's voice. "I may not have many days left, but I still have time to give back." Part 3. The secret is revealed. Afternoon, the garden is revived. A shot from above. The garden is gradually turning green again. Wooden nameplates made by Ethan are placed everywhere. Eleanor is busy working on the soil, suddenly coughing violently. She tries to hold it in, but the coughing gets worse. She can't stand, falls down next to the mint bed. Ethan, panic. "Grandma, are you okay?" The boy helps her up. Eleanor signals to sit down, refuses to call an ambulance. Eleanor whispers, smiles slightly. "I'm just a little tired. It's a little humid today." Ethan's house, the confrontation. Ethan tells the story. Ethan's mother, Clara, a woman in her 30s with tired eyes, was shocked and angry when she heard Eleanor faint. "Clara, I won't go there anymore. Do you understand? She was sick but hid it and made me help in the garden. And that herbal tea, I don't believe it. Do you understand?" Ethan was silent. He held tightly the small wooden board engraved with the name Lavender, restores memory. His face was disappointed, but he didn't protest. In Eleanor's house, last packages. Eleanor sat at the wooden table. The light was soft yellow. She was wrapping each bag of herbs in linen. Each bag had a handwritten label. For Mr. Porter, backache when the weather changes. For Anna, insomnia after losing her father. For Clara, Ethan's mother, soothing support. She still remembered. Attached to each was a small letter, the handwriting thin but neat. Her voice rang out, soft as if talking to herself. Inner monodialogue. Some people are afraid of death. As for me, I am afraid of being forgotten. Afraid that I lived and left no warmth behind when I left this world. But if one person, just one, remembers that my hand helped him sleep well, then I am at peace. Framed scene. Bags of herbs on the table, dim light. Hands wrapping each layer gently as if wrapping a farewell. Outside, the first letter is sent. Eleanor slowly walks to the small post office at the end of town, holding a cloth basket. The young postman takes the small packages and smiles. Who are these for, madam? Eleanor, soft voice, bright eyes. For people I never said goodbye to. Ethan looks through the fence. It was dark, but the lights in Eleanor's house were still on. Ethan hid behind the fence, his eyes sad, holding the old notebook his grandmother had shown him. He flipped to the page with his name on it. Ethan, 2025. Garden rebirth. Ethan whispered, "You can't disappear like that." Ethan's mother receives a package, softening. One afternoon, Clara received a package of herbs from Eleanor with a small note. This tea can't heal what's broken, but it can soothe what's left. If you don't believe in herbs, believe in someone still thinking of you. Clara was stunned. She was speechless and burst into tears. Back to Eleanor's house. Quiet. Eleanor was sitting on the porch, the sunset shining on her silver hair. She coughed softly, then poured herself a cup of tea. Wind blows through the garden. The door closes slowly. The wind chimes tinkle. I don't need anyone to remember my name. I just want they won't forget the smell of tea in the rain, and the feeling that someone really listens to you. Part 4. The unsent letter and the first hug. Night. Ethan sneaks back. The night was quiet. Pale moonlight shone down on the small dirt path, leading to Eleanor's house. Ethan was wearing an old coat, holding a small wooden box containing a list of plant names. He looked around, then opened the gate and entered. Eleanor's door was ajar. He stepped in quietly. The letter found. Ethan walked into the living room. On the table were half-wrapped bags of herbs. He looked around and saw an old wooden box open. Inside were unsent letters. He pulled out a piece of paper and read in a whisper, trembling slightly, the content of the letter. Asterisk to my daughter, I'm sorry I didn't know how to keep you close. When your father died, I buried myself in the medicinal garden and forgot that you also needed a mother who could embrace the pain. If you're somewhere happy, I'm glad. If you're still angry with me, I understand. But if one day you happen to think of me, then know that in every mint leaf I planted, there's always something I never dared to say. I miss you. Asterisk. Ethan clutched the letter. His eyes were red. He turned around. Eleanor was standing in the doorway, silently watching. Ethan, sobbing. You never sent it? Eleanor, silent. It's not because you're afraid, but because when people live by waiting, sometimes they forget how to start. The conversation, the opening of the heart. The two sat down together in the dim yellow light. The night wind blew through the crack in the door. Eleanor, looking at Ethan. You are young, but you understand a lot. Do you know, I thought this garden would die with me. Ethan, no, it is coming back to life, like your mother. Eleanor, smiling softly for the first time. You are something I did not have time to plant, but God sent you. Ethan, hesitating. Are you afraid of dying? Eleanor, in a low voice. I'm not afraid of death. I am afraid of leaving without anyone remembering how I love this life. The first hug. Eleanor opened her arms. A small gesture, but Ethan understood. The boy rushed to hug her. Hard, true, like a child who did not want to lose what it just found. Eleanor held him close. The first time she took the initiative, she closed her eyes, her lips trembling slightly, her eyes filled with tears. Ethan's mother witnessed, transformed. Clara, Ethan's mother, stood outside the door. She silently observed through the glass. At first, her eyes were hard, but when she saw Eleanor holding her son, she burst into tears. A tear fell, not because of anger, but because she saw what she had never dared to do, a mother who knew how to silently hold her son. Distant view, Eleanor's house at night. Distant view, the small house lit up with yellow lights in the dark. The wind chimes rang softly. The garden was silent, but something was reviving. Part 4 ends. There are hugs that cannot erase the past, but they can make room for something new. something light enough to continue. Part 5. The seed still lives. Spring, 1 year later. A bird's eye view, the scenery has changed. The garden that was once overgrown with weeds is now green and blooming. New nameplates are neatly placed. Mint, soothing, white chrysanthemum, remembering the departed, perilla, soothing cough. Children run around. Villagers gather. Some are picking leaves. Some are laughing and joking around the tea table. A new wooden board. Ethan, now a little older, is using a hammer to attach a new board to the flower trellis in front of the garden gate. The handwritten wooden board. The words are simple but full of emotion. Healing lives on. He finishes nailing, stands back, looking at the board as if it were a promise. The notebook continues. Clara, Ethan's mother, sits in a small wooden house, formerly Eleanor's house. On the table is an old notebook, now with many new pages. She writes in neat handwriting. 2026, Anna, neck and shoulder pain. Herbal support, lavender, ginger. 2026, Jacob, Eleanor's grandson recovery from an accident. Peppermint tea, chamomile. Clara pauses, puts down her pen, her eyes welling up but calm. The sunlight shines on the table, on the page. Afternoon tea in the garden, connecting people. Slow motion camera. A clear afternoon, golden sunlight sparkling through the foliage. People are sitting around a long wooden table, drinking tea from simple porcelain cups. Everyone is smiling, talking softly. In the middle of the table is a basket of carefully dried leaves, each package handwritten in small letters. Birds chirping, humbly laughing, unhurried smiles. No one is in a hurry. Narrator's final, last image. Ethan steps into the garden, holding Eleanor's old letter, the one never sent. He reads it again for the last time. The narrator's voice is soft, echoing Eleanor, even though the body fades. The spirit still finds its way, through leaves, through hands, through memory. Last image, distant view. The camera moves away. The whole garden becomes a small bright spot in the peaceful space. The gentle wind blows through the flower beds, through the mint vines, and the familiar wind chimes, still hanging on the old porch, ring. Orange Heart, the end. Dedicated to those who quietly heal others with love, and leave without anyone remembering their name.